film begins by showing the atmosphere in 1918, where a samurai from Japan named Miyamoto is fighting against a kung fu master in Shanghai. The fight was won by Miyamoto, who then made an open challenge for all the best kung fu masters in China to fight against him. Elsewhere, a kung fu master named Huo Yuanjia turns out to have found out about Miyamoto's challenge. At first, Yuanjia refused the challenge, but after being advised by his best friend, Nong Jinsun, who said that the fight was an opportunity to show the spirit and strength of the Chinese nation, Yuanjia was willing to consider whether he would meet Miyamoto's challenge or not. After returning home, Yuanjia seemed to be contemplating in front of the altar of his late father, Huo Yuanjia, and suddenly remembered the events of 20 years ago. The scene then switches to the past in 1898, when Yuanjia's older brother, Yuan was having a wedding. Suddenly, a man with a hat, who was the son of Yuanjia's father's former rival, appeared, who immediately disrupted the event. The man came there to avenge his father, who Huo Yuanjia had humiliated in the past. When the man was about to attack Huo Yuanjia, Yuanjia immediately blocked the attack and fought against the man. Yuanjia was also involved in a fierce battle against the man until he finally managed to defeat him. However, when Yuanjia was about to hit the man who had lost, Huo Yuanjia then asked him to stop and let the man go. After that, Huo Yuanjia punished Yuanjia because he felt furious when he found out that his son was secretly practicing kung fu, even though he had forbidden it. Yuanjia feels disapproved and insists that he can be better than his older brother, despite practicing kung fu secretly. Yuanjia was also increasingly annoyed and said that his father only taught him about patience, but never taught him the Huo technique that had been passed down in his family for generations. Huo Yuanjia, who was emotional, then slapped him, making Yuanjia feel even more disappointed and left the house. Meanwhile, in the city of Beijing, Empress Qixi sent General Yuan to go to Tianjin, which was suspected of being a hideout for the rebels, and asked him to kill the rebels immediately. Meanwhile, at the Tianjin dock, Jinsun was seen taking medicine orders from the ship. Several of General Yuan's men suddenly came to him to ask Jinsun for tribute. At the same time, a rebel named Li, whom Jinsun smuggled in, accidentally passed by with a rich girl named Yuan near them. They then asked about Li to Jinsun, who said that the man was a healer. Without thinking, General Yuan's men then asked the man to treat him. Jinsun and Li suddenly panicked, until finally Yuanjia came to the place and distracted General Yuan's men by making noise and fighting against them. At evening, Li then gave Jinsun a letter from Fusheng, the leader of the rebellion that planned to attack the capital. After that, Jinsun asked Li to sleep in his place, while Jinsun then met Yuanjia at a diner and asked him to help plan the rebellion. Yuanjia seemed very indecisive, but finally he decided to help indirectly by opening a martial arts school and hoped that his martial arts knowledge could help China's reform. Unfortunately, there is a requirement to get permission to open a kung fu school, namely by challenging all kung fu masters in China and defeating them. At the same time, at Jinsun's place, assassins sent by General Yuan managed to sneak into Li's room and attack him to death. The assassins then beheaded Li and handed it over to General Yuan. After the incident, everyone looked shocked and scared, including Mr. Yu, Yuan's father, who finally broke off cooperation with Jinsun in the rebellion because Mr. Yu was afraid that his daughter's life would be threatened. In the morning, Yuanjia was seen, who began to challenge the kung fu masters to fight with him. The first college he went to was the Chengho College. When Yuanjia came to that place, one of the strongest students there immediately underestimated him, especially when he found out that Yuanjia did not join any college. The disciple also approached Yuanjia, who suddenly attacked him with one attack and made the disciple immediately faint. The teacher, who saw that, felt very embarrassed and did not accept if his student lost so easily. Without thinking, the teacher immediately attacked Yuanjia. The teacher also looks overwhelmed by Yuanjia, and in the end, the teacher loses. From this victory, Yuanjia announced that he would soon open the largest kung fu school in Tianjin. When he returned to meet Jinsun, Yuanjia's victory was also well received by his friend. Not long after, General Yuan and the troops from the empire suddenly came to them. General Yuan asked Jinsun to bring the healer they introduced to treat the general, who pretended not to know anything about his men who had killed the rebel who claimed to be the healer. General Yuan's purpose in asking this was to find out whether Jinsun was involved with the rebellion or not. Jinsun looked confused to answer General Yuan's request, thus making General Yuan's men angry and tried to attack Jinsun, which was then blocked by General Yuan. Yuanjia, who did not accept his friend being treated like that, then tried to defend Jinsun in front of General Yuan. Seeing this, General Yuan and his troops decided to leave the place and assumed that Jinsun was also involved in the rebellion. In the evening, Yuanjia began to teach Kung Fu to Liu Sheng, who always followed him, which indirectly made Liu Sheng become Yuanjia's first disciple. Yuanjia began to teach him about the basic techniques of Kung Fu. At the same time, Yuan and her maid suddenly came to see Jinsun. Yuanjia, who was quietly observing Yuan, seemed interested in the girl and was pleased with her arrival. Even Yuanjia didn't mind if she had to compete with his disciple, because it turned out that Liu Sheng was also interested in Yuan. Yuan's arrival at Jinsun's place turned out to be to inform Jinsun that she and her family would soon leave Tianjin to avoid threats from General Yuan and also the Empire, who suspected they were siding with the rebels. The next day, the Kung Fu master from Jingmen College named Wang Wu decided to retire and handed over his title to his best student named Youlan. When the title handover was being carried out, suddenly General Yuan came there and began to provoke them by telling them that Yuanjia was the strongest person in Tianjin who could not be defeated. After saying this, General Yuan left with his men. Wang Wu, who felt challenged, then asked Youlan to confront Yuanjia. Youlan also sent a letter of challenge to Yuanjia for them to have a life and death battle. Elsewhere, Yuanjia, who had received the letter, was willing to accept the battle challenge from Youlan and came to Jingmen College. There, all the Kung Fu masters of the school had gathered and waited for Yuanjia to arrive. The battle began. Yuanjia's first opponent was a master who was very proficient in using weapons. Using a spear, Yuanjia could corner the master so that he didn't move when Yuanjia aimed the tip of the spear at the master's neck. According to Yuanjia, defeating the master was easy. In the second battle, Yuanjia will face a Kung Fu master who is blind and very proficient in the Wing Chun martial arts. To make the fight fair, Yuanjia decided to cover his eyes with a cloth. The fight began when Yuanjia attacked the Kung Fu master, and he managed to defeat him quite easily. After that, Yuanjia went to meet the next Kung Fu master. In the third battle, Yuanjia had to fight a master who mastered the Drunken God move. The fight is carried out on several bowls that are arranged upside down as a foothold. In fighting, neither of them should break the bowls. In the end, Yuanjia won the fight again because the Drunken God master broke one of the bowls he stepped on. Yuanjia also saluted his opponent before he left. In the final battle, Yuanjia must face the next Kung Fu master, Youlan. Knowing that the opponent was a woman, Yuanjia initially refused the fight. However, Youlan suddenly threw her weapon at Yuanjia and continued to attack him with the sword. Yuanjia also had no choice but to fight with Youlan, who finally lost after receiving a kick from Yuanjia. When Yuanjia approached Youlan, who was near a window, Yuanjia saw a shadow behind the window, and suddenly, Youlan fell and was declared dead. Because of that, everyone in the school accused Yuanjia of killing Youlan. Not long after, General Yuan appeared and defended Yuanjia by saying that the challenge letter sent by the Kung Fu school was a life and death challenge that was agreed upon by both parties. From the great victory he had obtained, Yuanjia was allowed to establish a Kung Fu school. When Yuanjia was about to leave the place, General Yuan asked Yuanjia to join him and serve the empire. However, he was not interested and immediately rejected the offer from General Yuan. When Yuanjia arrived home, he found his living quarters in a very messy state. Yuanjia also saw Liu Sheng, who was tied to a pole, and immediately helped his disciple. After that, Liu Sheng informed Yuanjia that General Yuan and his troops had come to his house and kidnapped Jinsun. They immediately went to the Yu family's house, which turned out to be empty, as if it had been abandoned by its owner. Yuanjia and Liu Sheng thought that Mr. Yu and his family had left Tianjin. In fact, Mr. Yu had been killed by General Yuan before he and his family managed to leave Tianjin. Meanwhile, Yuan is being held hostage by General Yuan. On the other hand, Jinsun was being interrogated by General Yuan about the rebels' headquarters. Jinsun firmly told him that he would not be able to defeat them, emphasizing that the Xin dynasty would soon be destroyed. Hearing this, General Yuan then locked him in a room. Meanwhile, Wang Wu looks very angry and decides to take revenge on Yuanjia when he finds out that Yuanjia has defeated all the Kung Fu masters in his school and killed Youlan. The next day, Yuanjia received a letter from his family informing him that his father was sick. Yuanjia himself really wanted to go home, but he was forced to postpone it because he thought the more important thing at that time was to save Jinsun. Meanwhile at home, the sickly Huo Yuanjia was looking forward to the arrival of his son to come home soon. At the place where Jinsun was being held, he had now managed to untie his bonds using pottery shards. Jinsun carefully left the place and planned to go to the place where Mr. Tan was, who also involved in the rebellion. Jinsun's escape turned out to be part of General Yuan's plan. Knowing that Jinsun had left, he asked his troops to follow him. Meanwhile, when Yuanjia and Liu Sheng meet Master Tan, Wang Wu suddenly comes to see Yuanjia with his students because he wants to immediately take revenge. Seeing this, Yuanjia calmly told Wang Wu that he was not Youlan's killer and invited him to come with him and uncover the truth behind Youlan's murder. After that, Yuanjia and Wang Wu then went to visit General Yuan, while Liu Sheng escorted Mr. Tan along with other guards to a safe hiding place. Arriving at General Yuan's place, Yuanjia was immediately surrounded by dozens of General Yuan's men, as well as Wang Wu, who had hidden in a rickshaw before finally coming out of his hiding place when he learned that everything was General Yuan's plan, including the murder of his student Youlan. The battle finally ensued, where Yuanjia and Wang Wu had to face dozens of General Yuan's men. At the same time, Jinsun joined Mr. Tan's group. General Yuan's other troops also knew Mr. Tan's group was leaving, so they attacked and chased him. When Yuanjia and Wang Wu were fighting against General Yuan's men, Wang Wu asked Yuanjia to protect Mr. Tan while he faced General Yuan's men there. Mr. Tan's group was now surrounded by General Yuan's troops who immediately attacked the group. By the time Yuanjia arrived, General Yuan's army had defeated Mr. Tan's bodyguards. Although Mr. Tan still survived, Yuanjia was unable to save the life of his first disciple, Liu Sheng, who was stabbed by a sword in order to save Mr. Tan. At the same time, Wang Wu was also successfully incapacitated and then killed by General Yuan. That night, in the pouring rain, Yuanjia came to General Yuan's place to save Wang Wu. However, Yuanjia soon found out that his arrival was too late because he saw that Wang Wu's head had been hung by General Yuan. The angry Yuanjia began to fight against General Yuan's men who surrounded him. After learning that all his men were defeated, General Yuan fought Yuanjia, who finally managed to beat him to fall near the pillar where Wang Wu's head was hanging. Because he had been cornered, General Yuan knocked down the pillar, which was immediately detained by Yuanjia so that Wang Wu's head did not fall to the ground. Yuanjia then attacked General Yuan, and he was eventually killed. After his victory, Yuanjia left the place and took Wang Wu's head with him. Days passed. Yuanjia finally returned home to see his sick father. However, how shocked he was when he found out that his father had died. Yuanjia then received a will that revealed that his father loved him very much. In addition, Yuanjia also got a book of Huo's moves which would be more useful if the user's patience was really trained. That was the reason why his father hadn't given the move to Yuanjia, because he wanted to train his son's patience first. In the will, his father believed that Yuanjia could establish a martial arts school that would become a famous martial arts school in all of China. Turning to the present, Yuanjia finally woke up from his daydream. After finishing praying in front of the altar of his late father, Yuanjia decided to accept the challenge from the samurai from Japan. At the end of the film, Yuanjia is shown who comes to the battle arena and has prepared to fight with Miyamoto. The moral message that we can learn from this film is that regret will always come late.